I have this really wonderful talk about the thing itself for you today. And as I'm sitting there, I'm meditating and asking Spirit, why are we talking about this today? And because we are here to see that life is always supporting us, that everything in your life is showing you which way to go, and that it's all a creation, and our mind interprets it as good or bad. And I've started to look at things as there's proof, and also there's proof that I'm pointing my attention in the wrong direction. There's proof that I'm pointing my attention in the wrong direction. I love to tell stories about my life because I just realized as I was sitting there, my joy of telling the story is so that you can see it's possible to live a different life than you're living. And part of Tracey's personality is to always want to give you the way to make it easier than it was for me. That's what drove me. That's what drives me, is always to share something that makes your life a little bit easier than it was the moment before, or to prevent you from going down a road that may cause you suffering. And what I realized is that's not Tracey's job, and that Spirit gets to use me every day to be a person that, if you truly listen, can share those things with you. And so I think we're going to veer off a little bit and just and really just deepen that idea. But first I want to know, did you hear about the disheveled man who tried to get in church?
No.
So the disheveled man went to a church one day, and he says to the pastor, I want to be a member. And the pastor was really trying to dissuade him with all kinds of lingo. And the disheveled man said, I'm going to go home and pray about this and see what God tells me to do. And the pastor said, please do. The next Sunday, the disheveled man comes back and he says, I prayed about it. And the pastor says, well, what did God say? And God said, don't worry about it. I've been trying to get into that church for 10 years, and they won't let me in either. Go find another one. And that's what we're doing, is we're always finding another one, right? And so, if God can't get in, and sometimes we're closed like that, right? Sometimes we are stuck in our personalities, in our everyday lives, and the things that are happening in the objective world. And we take that for the real. We take that for who we are. We take it for our value. We take it for how smart we are, or comparison to another person, or, oh, they're doing that, I should do that too. I like to collect artists, musicians, readers, people that have high intellect, and I realize that I'm very good at finding people to bring to a situation that might have a broader skill set than myself, and I love to do that. That's part of something that I do very well. And what I realize is that traversing life is skill, 90% skill. We get lost in our ideas of, is it the right way to do the skill or the wrong way to do the skill? But what I have begun to see is that any attempt of even trying is discovering the nature of who we are, because we can't let go of the idea that whatever we do, we are doing it because something has compelled us. That thing itself has compelled us to move forward in a particular direction. There have been so many difficult things in my life, and my life always taught me to look at what is going wrong instead of what's going right. So I've decided a couple weeks ago to really look at that about myself and to see if I could catch it when it was happening, give myself a break, realign, go back in, tell myself the truth, and allow it to come up. So one of the things that I saw about this is whatever's coming into your experience, you have an opportunity to see what you've created. The thing itself is always giving to you. That creative understanding is always giving to you that process of, like I said, there's that, there's that, there's that. And what it does when you start to pay attention is it shifts your understanding about your truth. And that the goal is not to avoid suffering, but to come back to reality. The goal is to have an acceptance of your circumstances, which brings you back to reality, that gives you the inspiration to try again. I recently wanted more space in my car. I have a little Honda Santa Fe, and if you put a 9-month-old and a 2.5-year-old in the back with 2 little air conditioner vents that just point, and you're hoping they're cooling off back there, when it's 120 degrees outside, you get a new idea about your car. And then you have a husband who says the car's good enough. You start having a conflicting idea, right? And I don't know about you, but in my house, sometimes there's conflicting ideas. And I like to recycle things a lot, and he likes to hold on to them. And it can really create an interesting household. But so one day I was scrolling through Facebook, and someone had posted a minivan. And I said, Spirit, you love me so much to show me this minivan. And it was a 2009 with 50,000 miles on it, all the things that my husband would find appealing. And I couldn't have done it better myself. As a matter of fact, I didn't. Well, God did. And so I showed it to Bill, and he's like, oh, that looks interesting. I'm like, ooh, I got him. I hooked him. And so we started looking at it, and I made the phone call or the message, and the lady said, oh, so many people are calling about this van. And I said, okay. And I go, well, I got to go to work this weekend. I always like to I'm a minister of a church, and I got to work, Sometimes you just got to use what you got, And she's like, oh, that's nice. Call me on Monday and see if it's still here. And we were walking into Home Depot, and I'm like, that is unacceptable. I need to sit in Home Depot. So I found one of their benches that they're selling, and I sat down to do my work. And I was like, Tracey, I remember Donald Graves saying, when you want to manifest something, you go to what the mental equivalent is for you, right? So I'm like, space. It has TVs in it for the kids, It has 50,000 miles, less work. And I just started to recognize, oh, I am creating this situation. And what I recognized about myself is the competitive nature that I needed to get that van before anybody else did. And so I also then realized, slow down. Sometimes the no is for you and not against you. Let Spirit do the work. And so once I got clear in my mind that I wanted a van, I realized, right after my son told me, Mom, there's a lot of minivans on the market. You can find the one you want now that you know you want them. You'll see them everywhere, right? And so anyway, we walk out of Home Depot, and I'm like, okay, I release, I accept, I let go, everything's good. And 2 minutes later, she messages me and says, you know what, I'm so overwhelmed with messages, and something about your name stands out to me, and I'm going to hold the van until Monday for you. I was like, yeah. So Monday comes, and we go to see it, and we drive it, and it's pulling a little to the right. And her one caveat is, please pay the $8,000 that the van is for. And I go, well, if that van is exactly as you said it to be, we'll pay that. And so the van pulled a little to the right, and we drive it around, and we love it. It's meticulous. Their parents just parked it in the garage, and they drove it around when they came. They were snowbirds. And my husband intuitively knew something was wrong with the tires. And so he says, I don't think these tires are new. And the guy goes, oh, no, they're new. And I watched my husband talk himself out of the conversation with the tires because there was this little fear remaining that if we pushed it too hard, we wouldn't get the van. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. That's what fear does, is it kind of pits you against yourself in your mind. But it's okay. We bought the van, and I have space and air. And we brought the van home, and immediately the mind started going, So we drove it proudly over to Costco to show our son the purchase we made without his help because we're adults. And he was trying to show off the auto start, and it wouldn't start. And he was like, the downward spiral started, right? And so I'm like, it's okay. It's fine. This car is here, and I am trusting that it's here because it's in our experience. And if there's anything wrong with the car, Spirit has given it to us and the capability to fix it. It doesn't give you something or place a desire in your heart that you cannot fulfill or have the means to take care of. So no problem. Bill drives the car proudly to work on Monday to show everybody. And he takes it over, and they run it, and they proudly tell him, this car's in meticulous shape. Good job. And he was beaming. He called me beaming. And I was like, right, good job, honey. Overcoming your fears about buying something used. And so there you go. But those tires, man, they're in really bad shape. And we had driven this car all the way up to Prescott one day, and my son was like, something's wrong with the car. I'm like, please stop doing that. Anyway, so we get new tires, and the guy was like, oh, the battery's shot. And so we get a new battery, and I'm like, you know what? No biggie, because we have what we need to take care of that. And my point about the thing itself in the story is, yesterday was Saturday. Yes, I'm lost. It's been a long week. We were driving up here to fix some more things, and the car stalled out, and we're all piled in, my son, his girlfriend, the tools, the kids, everything. And the car stops, and we pull, and it's 100-some degrees out, and I'm like, hey, maybe it's the battery in the keychain. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. So all of these minds are trying to figure out what it was. So my husband goes, we're right in front of O'Reilly. I mean, how could Spirit, right in front of the auto store. I'm like, I gotcha. And so he goes in to buy a new battery, and he comes and he does it, doesn't work, and yada, 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 we're fixing. And so my son's like, I'm going to Sonic to get a tea. My husband goes back to Riley to get the checker to put on the car. And a lady walks up to my car, and she says, I'm sorry, excuse me, I can't fix your car, but Spirit said you need water. And she gives me 2 ice-cold bottles of water. And I was like, look at you, smiling down on me. And again, we're always creating. And that thing itself, when we place our understanding in it, when we give ourselves to our truest and highest nature, it is always fulfilling and taking care of us, right? And so we all get in the car, and my husband looks at me and goes, when's the last time you put gas in it? I don't know. And we bought it and drove it to Prescott 2 weeks ago. And I go, but it says half a tank. And he's like, I need to call those people. And I go, no, it's okay. And so now we know when it's on a half a tank, it's empty, And when you buy a used car, you get a used car. And it's okay as long as you know the reality that that's what you get, right? But when you buy a new car and you think it's supposed to run like a 2026, you're going to be disappointed. Right? But if you have the expectation that things go wrong and that you have the understanding and the intuition to fix it and the acceptance, life is more joyful. That is the thing itself, is it always brings you back to acceptance. Acceptance of the current reality doesn't mean it's not painful. It doesn't mean it's not hard. It doesn't mean that there isn't work to do and that we don't have to take action. But what it does do is it puts us in connection with that which we truly are. And the personality lets go of those stories and the dissidence that it's created through its evolution. And it starts to fall away. And then the thing itself is your divine connection. It's not a connection, it's who you are. It knows how to traverse every circumstance. I went to the Goodwill on the way home from here one day, and I was looking at the shoes. This shoe's right here. And I was like, oh, these shoes are leather. Leather always catches my attention. And I have kind of been, my foot's been kind of bothering me, and I've been talking to the Spirit about it, and they were like $6, and I'm like, ooh, these look really nice. So we get out to the car, and I put them on, and I haven't taken them off since. They are the most amazing shoes, and so then I'm Googling, I'm looking, I'm like, I'm going to buy 10 pairs of these shoes that Spirit gifted me, and they don't make this style anymore, but that's okay. It's okay. I keep telling myself, it's okay. But all of the problems went away. I put these shoes on. But the point is, I paid $6 for $200 pairs of shoes. Yeah. See? God, Spirit, your divine connection is always replenishing all that you give, right? When you trust, when you pick up, when you walk, when you move, when you talk, when you breathe, it is your divine connection moving through you, as you. And sometimes we go back to through us, sometimes we go back to victim, but this is the evolution of our personality. It is a distorted error in thinking. And when suffering comes, and it does, it is a gift to push us back home on the path to our highest and true self. When we spend more time living as the inner facing the outer than the outer facing the inner, life moves at a pace that takes us to the next destination. We become magnetized. We become open. We become a channel for the peace that we all talk about. My teacher says something very beautiful. He says, "Let there be peace. There is peace. I am peace. Let there be love. There is love. I am love. Let there be light. There is light. I am light." And it's an evolution of understanding that the higher teachings and principle require a little more of our mind, of our attention, of our understanding, of our dedication and commitment to that which we say we really want. Because you can't say you want it and not pick it up off the shelf. You can't say you want it and not go look at it and buy it. You can't say you want it and then sit in the chair and just expect it to manifest. No, God as you, the divine connection you are, is always pointing you in a direction and giving you the way. And then you use this body mind to take action and fulfill its desires through you. That we are all here evolving and moving and having our way, and we all traverse things that to appear to make us stuck, and we want to go unstick people, and what we need to do is just magnetize in their presence, and they can feel it, and they'll want to know what you have, and then you can share it with them when they ask you, and then you give them freedom to get that business card and show up on Sunday. You can't pull them in here. They will come because they see you living as the thing itself, and you will magnetize to them. You'll be so joyful, and you'll also be truthful that life can be difficult, and acceptance is the key. I was in Costco. I will close with this. An old employee of mine, and we had good days and bad days many years ago in my days of banking, and she comes up from behind me and she hugs me. She's like, "Oh, my favorite manager, I can't believe it's you." And I was like, 20 years ago, that would not have been the case. How time makes us forget. But anyway, and I was like, "Oh, it's so good to see you." I could have reminded her of our discord, and I said, "Oh, you look so beautiful. How has life been treating you?" And she's like, "Your son told me you're a minister." And I go, "I am." She goes, "I just always knew there was something special about you. You used to just push my buttons and make me so mad, but it made me a better person. You were always talking about the law of attraction and how to get what I want and how to believe in myself." And she goes, "And I just wasn't ready to do it. But today I am, and I'm really struggling. Can you just tell me how to get through today?" And I said, "Just 1 minute at a time. Just take a breath." And then it popped into my head, just accept the day as it's unfolding. Just accept. Give yourself a break and come to church. Come see me. And she goes, "I will call you." And I go, "Whenever you're ready, I'm available." It was really beautiful to see you. And I love you. And it just has shown me that life, when you're pointing your attention in the right direction, is always proving that the thing itself is real. And if you're like me, I get confused sometimes and go, "Is it really real? How do I know? Man, this stuff, right? Like, life wouldn't be so hard if this was real." And I realized, oh, you've gone off into an error of thinking unconsciously. You just need to pull yourself back. So one of the things my teacher does is really challenges me when an intuition arises within me. He'll say, explain it to me. And that's when I go, and I go, I don't know if I can. And he said, that's okay. Then go research it, study it, learn it, embody it, come back and talk to me about it. Then you can give it, live it, breathe it, and be it. That's what we stand for here. That is the thing itself. That is what I'm inviting you into. I love you so much. I'm so happy to be here to share this wonderful message with you. And as I look out, I know that you are evidence that it is true, because you are the fulfillment of my dream. And I hope that the words from I don't hope, that was crazy. I know that the fulfillment of these words in your heart as you accept them will be the answer to your desire as well. Live well and prosperous, in the words of Spock. I appreciate you. And we'll just embody those words in a prayer. I see these words in this prayer, the tool that we use to always remind this wandering mind that words, although powerful, can mislead us. So we use the power of prayer, treatment, affirmations to always bring us back to center. So as these words float from my lips from Spirit, that there is only one, that one divine Spirit that lives through your body, that is always pointing you to yourself. It is reminding us that no matter what is going on in the objective world, the truth and home is always here. And as we drop and let all unlike itself go, as we release the tension, the attention, the distraction, the error in thinking, as we obliterate all of that, what is left is the magnificence of you. The shining aspect of the brightest blue star that radiates and magnetizes all that it comes in contact with. That as we use these teachings to have a deeper understanding of our highest self, we release the need for anything to bring us bliss, for we realize that we are bliss itself. That these words on this day are spirits given to our heart, not to our minds, but to our hearts, to break us open, for it to floweth over, for it to bring complete realization to the highest truth of who you are, to the complete understanding of your identity, and to merge the truth through, in, as you, to live it each and every day in your life. This gives way to being able to traverse all that the world has to offer. We move through it calmly, clearly, serenely, with the deepest faith, because as each experience happens, as we start to see the world as a miracle, it is always proving these words to us that we are the truth in which we seek. I know these words resound and move through the ethers and land to the open hearts and minds and lives of all who hear them, here in the sanctuary, out online, and as they are shared with the people that we love. It magnetizes and draws them to the center, and we overflow with the abundance of love and joy as we celebrate the perfection of this building, this philosophy, this community, that there is no emptiness, there is only fullness. I know this truth, I know it here, I know it now, I know it for you, and we celebrate it as we release and let go and accept, and so it is.